Hey everyone, ready to dive into another personality deep dive. Today we're going to tackle ESFPs.
Yeah, those are the folks that kind of light up every room they walk into, right?
Exactly, like they've got this boundless energy. And we've got a ton of articles and research here from Personality NFT just waiting to be unpacked.
Oh, this should be good. I always thought ESFPs were just, the life of the party types.
That's what I thought too, but looks like there's a lot more to them than meets the eye. So ESFP stands for extroverted sensing, feeling, and perceiving.
Okay, so that explains the whole energy thing, but what about the rest? What makes them tick?
Right. Well, like you said, they're extroverted, so big on social interaction.
Makes sense. Always surrounded by people.
But then there's the sensing part. So they're really focused on the here and now, the physical world, all the details.
So not really big on abstract ideas then, more about what they can see and touch and experience right now?
Exactly. And Personality NFT even pointed out that this is why they often have such a great sense of style.
Oh, yeah, I can see that. Like, they appreciate aesthetics a lot. Clothes, art, nature, the whole nine yards.
Totally. Okay, so we've got extroverted and sensing covered. Now, what about feeling? How does that play into the ESFP personality?
Well, feeling types, they make decisions based more on their values and empathy rather than just pure logic.
So they're like walking hearts, basically.
Pretty much. And because they're so tuned in to other people's emotions, they make really supportive friends.
Always there to lend a shoulder to cry on.
Exactly. But this also means they can be pretty sensitive to conflict, might avoid it even when it's necessary.
So it's not always sunshine and rainbows then. It's got to be some downsides too, right?
Well, yeah, every personality type has its strengths and weaknesses. And for ESFPs, avoiding conflict can sometimes backfire.
Okay, so we've talked about extroverted, sensing, feeling. What about that last letter P for perceiving? Does that just mean they're spontaneous all the time?
You hit the nail on the head. Perceiving types, they're adaptable and open to new experiences, which can be awesome for, trying new things.
Sounds like they'd be up for anything.
Pretty much. But the flip side is they might struggle with sticking to, rigid schedules or making long-term plans.
Oh, so maybe not the best at, budgeting or sticking to a strict diet.
Probably not. But, hey, there are ways to work around those things, right? So overall, we've got these fun-loving, spontaneous, and deeply empathetic individuals. But I know there's also this whole thing about cognitive functions, right?
Right.
And how they influence personality.
Right. It sounds a bit complicated.
It can be, but basically everyone uses all four cognitive functions: sensing, intuition, thinking, and feeling. Just in different orders, like a preference order.
Okay, so what's an ESFP's top preference?
Their dominant function is extroverted sensing, which we've already talked about. That whole living in the moment, soaking up experiences thing.
Gotcha. And what about the second in command?
Their auxiliary function is introverted feeling, and that's what gives them such a strong sense of values and helps them connect so deeply with others' emotions.
So it's not just about being outgoing and energetic. They've got this whole internal world of feelings, too.
Exactly. And it's that combination of dominant extroverted sensing and auxiliary introverted feeling that makes them so unique.
Right. So they're not just reacting to what's going on around them. They're processing it all through their values and empathy. That's pretty cool. But with all this emphasis on the present, do ESFPs ever think about the future?
Well, they do, but they need a clear reason to. Abstract concepts or long-term plans, those can be a bit overwhelming for them unless they see a direct practical application. Remember, concrete experiences, tangible results, that's their jam.
Okay, so if I'm trying to explain a really complex idea to my ESFP friend, I should probably ditch the jargon and just cut to the chase.
Exactly. Use real-world examples, hands-on stuff, make it relatable to their immediate experience.
Makes sense. Less theory, more action. Got it. So we know they're great with people, but how does that translate to romantic relationships?
Well, let's just say they like to keep things exciting, very affectionate, and love showering their partners with attention.
Sounds romantic. But what about expressing those deeper emotions?
Well, because of that strong introverted feeling, they might struggle with actually putting their feelings into words. Might show their love through actions rather than words.
So acts of service or thoughtful gifts.
Exactly. And it's not that they're not good at communication overall.
Right, they're great at picking up on other people's emotions.
Exactly. But when it comes to their own deep feelings, they can be a bit more guarded. They hate conflict, remember? So they might bottle things up to avoid upsetting the harmony.
Yeah, that makes sense. So patience and understanding are key in a relationship with an ESFP.
For sure. And don't mistake their love for spontaneity as a lack of commitment.
Okay, so don't expect them to plan a romantic getaway 6 months in advance.
Probably not. But hey, they might surprise you with a spontaneous picnic in the park that's just as meaningful.
True. It's all about appreciating their unique way of showing love. Now, earlier we briefly touched on ESFPs and finances. Personality NFT mentioned they can struggle with money. Is that just because they're impulsive shoppers?
Well, that can be part of it, for sure. They love experiencing new things, and that can extend to material possessions. But it really comes down to their difficulty with long-term planning in general.
So it's not that they're bad with money. They just need some strategies to help them manage it better.
Exactly. Like setting a budget, tracking their spending, maybe even finding a financial advisor who speaks their language, someone who can make it concrete and relatable.
That's super practical advice.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's kind of funny, right? When we think of someone who's good with money, we usually picture someone who's like super organized and analytical.
Yeah, totally. Not exactly the spontaneous ESFP type.
Right. But it just goes to show you that there's more than one way to be financially savvy.
Exactly. It's about finding the right tools and strategies that work for your personality. Speaking of finding the right fit, let's talk about ESFPs and careers. What kind of work environments do they thrive in?
Well, ESFPs, they really need a job that's dynamic, engaging, something that lets them use their people skills and their love for variety.
Got it. So definitely not stuck in a cubicle crunching numbers all day.
Unless that cubicle is at like a cutting-edge design firm or, maybe a super trendy event planning company.
Right. Somewhere with some energy.
Exactly. They're drawn to careers where they can make a real impact, see the results of their efforts.
So it's not that they're afraid of hard work. They just need to be passionate about what they're doing.
Exactly. They need that inner fire to stay lit,
Totally. So what are some specific careers that come to mind when you think of ESFPs?
Well, based on the research we've got here, they often excel as artists, actors, counselors, social workers, coaches, musicians.
Wow, that's quite a range. It's interesting, though, there's definitely a common thread there.
Oh, for sure. All of those professions allow ESFPs to connect with people in really meaningful ways, whether it's through creative expression or, helping others or just bringing joy to those around them. ESFPs thrive when they can have a positive impact.
Okay, I love this. Let's play a little game. Let's take two very different careers from that list. A counselor and a musician. And let's break down how an ESFP might approach each of those roles.
I'm in. Okay, so an ESFP counselor, they'd be amazing at creating a warm and welcoming space for their clients, right?
Yeah, totally. They'd be those super empathetic listeners tuned into their clients' emotions every step of the way.
Exactly. And they'd be great at brainstorming practical solutions and helping their clients actually take steps towards their goals.
It's like they'd be cheering their clients on every step of the way. Now, what about an ESFP musician? I can totally picture them rocking out on stage, connecting with the audience.
Oh, absolutely. They'd thrive on that live performance energy, natural stage presence,
Yeah.
And they'd be constantly experimenting with new sounds and styles, keeping things fresh and exciting.
Right. It's all about that authentic connection, whether they're using music to express themselves or to connect with others on an emotional level. This is so fascinating. But we talked earlier about how ESFPs can struggle with conflict. How does that play out in their work life?
Yeah, that's a really good point. Because they value harmony so much, they might have a harder time dealing with difficult colleagues or, confronting issues head on.
So they might try to smooth things over or even avoid conflict altogether.
Exactly, which, sometimes that can backfire.
Right, it's not always the best approach.
But to be fair, their desire for harmony can also be a huge asset, especially in a team environment.
Yeah, totally. They're great at boosting morale and mediating disagreements.
Exactly. They just need to also learn how to set healthy boundaries and advocate for themselves when necessary.
Right, finding that balance is key.
Yeah.
Now, we've talked a lot about their dominant and auxiliary functions, extroverted sensing and introverted feeling. But what about their less developed functions? Do those come into play at all?
Oh, absolutely. As ESFPs mature, they start to tap into their tertiary function, extroverted thinking, which brings more structure and logic to their decision-making.
So it's like they're learning to balance out that spontaneous nature with a bit more practicality.
Exactly. And this can be super helpful in their careers, helps them think more strategically, plan for the future, manage their time better.
Makes sense. Now, what about their inferior function, introverted intuition? Does that ever make an appearance?
It definitely can, though it might not be as prominent as the other functions. Introverted intuition is what helps them see the bigger picture, connect those seemingly unrelated ideas, and tap into their creativity on a deeper level.
Oh, wow. So it's like they have this secret superpower that they can access when they need it. So cool. Okay, we've covered so much ground already, but there's one more thing I'm super curious about. Famous ESFPs.
Just to reiterate, these are all just educated guesses based on public personas and behaviors. Personality typing is complex, and no two people are exactly alike, even if they share the same type.
Right. It's more about seeing how those personality traits could manifest in real-life examples. So who are you thinking of?
Well, one that comes to mind is Dolly Parton.
Really? Dolly Parton?
Yeah, think about it. Her style, her optimism, the way she connects with everyone, classic ESFP.
You know what? You're right. She does have that warmth about her. Makes everyone feel like they're her best friend.
Right.
What about athletes? Any ESFPs in the sports world?
Tons. Think Serena Williams, Magic Johnson.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I can see that.
They're both insanely talented, but they also bring this infectious energy and passion to their sports. They're not just playing the game, they're putting on a show.
And they love interacting with the crowd, getting people fired up. It's like that ESFP need to connect goes way beyond personal relationships.
It totally does. They feed off that energy, that feedback. It's what fuels them. Now, are you ready for a really surprising one?
Okay, hit me with it.
Pablo Picasso.
Wait, the Pablo Picasso, the painter.
Yep, that's the one.
I never would have guessed.
I know, right? We usually think of artists as being more introspective and internally focused.
Yeah, like spending all their time alone in the studio, lost in their own world.
Right. But when you consider Picasso's constant innovation, that drive to push boundaries, it actually aligns with an ESFP's love for novelty and self-expression.
So even though he's this artistic genius, his personality might have played a big part in how he approached his work.
Wow, that's so interesting. I'm starting to see ESFPs everywhere now.
They're all around us.
Okay, so after this deep dive into ESFPs, what's the big takeaway? What should we remember about this personality type?
I think the biggest takeaway is that there's so much more than just the life of the party. They're complex individuals with a unique blend of strengths and challenges, just like all of us. Right. But those strengths, their warmth, their empathy, their zest for life, they really bring something special to the world.
Absolutely. And they remind us to embrace the moment, appreciate the beauty around us, and really connect with others on a deeper level.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So could you be an ESFP? Or maybe you know someone who fits the bill. Think about it. What resonated with you the most about the ESFP personality?
And if you want to learn even more about this fascinating personality type, we highly recommend checking out Personality NFT. Their insights were invaluable for this deep dive.
Until next time, keep exploring those personalities, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.